6
that
minutes away from
trajectory instead
the
of being
deorbit
much
burn of
earlier in
Starship,
that trajectory. With that burn, you're essentially
and
slowing
I
down,
want to
and
say
therefore
we're
you're
maybe about
re-entering a
9 or
bit
10
earlier
minutes away from the
in that
re-entry
trajectory.
of
But
Starship.
it's still that re-entry path that those hazard zones were made essentially to take into account, what if it fails? Well, you at least have that sort of margin on that re-entry zone to be able to, account for a potential failure. I love all of those fins. It's always nice to see
so cool.
as a spaceship being active in space.
Right, it's neat to see something with aerodynamics active in space, right?
35 minutes and 6 seconds into the flight.
You need those wings in orbit. They're just cool. Yeah.
That is amazing.
It's always awesome to see that.
You reminded me of a quote from Elon when he said, "Oh, wings are silly. Why would you carry them into space? We don't need a shuttle." And now, that was a long time ago. That was probably a decade ago. And sometimes kind of need some air surfaces, some flaps in this case on Starship.
Right.
It's not that silly. They have a reason to be there. And so obviously not the giant delta wings of the shuttle, but some aerodynamic features are, needed to be able to re-enter through the atmosphere at the end of the day.
Stubby wings. And what we are seeing here right now is normal. It is, as you can see, what we space people like to call barbecuing, where it's this kind of like a rotisserie just kind of spinning around. We don't know if that is for maneuverability or for thermal balancing, but it is not out of control. That's what it's supposed to do. And what we're waiting on next is the relight of the Raptor engine, which will, or I think a couple of them, which will slow it down so that it can re-enter the atmosphere. And the last stage of this test is to test those thermal tiles, because we haven't had a Starship yet get into orbit or close to orbit like this one is and re-enter the atmosphere in one piece. So the next stage here is to have it re-enter the atmosphere like it will in the future on its operational path, and slam into the ocean in this particular instance, but later they will try to catch it with the same launch tower that sends it off into space here. So we will
that would be crazy, seeing the launch tower catch Starship.
At the timelines that we have, we should just for like awareness, we should be less than 4 minutes from that relight. And go ahead, Adrian.
No, I'm just here.
And guys, let me ask you this, Adrian. This is the first time we've tested Starship and these stubby wings in lower altitudes, right? So we know how they'll perform lower, but we've never had a Starship get this high and actually have to simulate the entire return trip. Obviously, we're not going to try to have a control, or it's going to be a controlled belly flop in this case, but this is a big milestone for its maneuverability post-launch back in the atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of this right now is new. All of this is just, it's so much new data. And imagine the amount of stuff that SpaceX learns from all of this. We already are excited. Imagine being an engineer right now, designing a Starship.
The engineers must be on cloud 9.
You're probably having the day of your life. I want to give, by the way, a quick hint here. The fact that we will probably sell out of the Flight 3 patch in minutes now. So if you want to grab one, you should grab it now.
The objective today was to get through all of our ascent burns and collect as much data as possible, including a potential Starship entry. And we just came out of a coast phase and we're treated to a number of HD views thanks to Starlink, including the PES door open-close test. So that was one of our test objectives today that we met. So that's awesome. It has been such a great day.
It has been a phenomenal test day. Just to see booster lifting a Starship to ascent, ship completing its ascent. Just a wonderful day. Kind of to recap the objectives a little bit. Booster completed its ascent, ignited its 33 Raptor engines. We demonstrated a successful hot staging for the second time. Booster completed the boost back burn, didn't quite accomplish the landing burn, and then had a hard splashdown in the Gulf. Meanwhile, ship completely successful after the hot staging. We had a good 6-engine burn of the Raptor vacuum engines and sea level engines. And then we've commanded a number of demonstrations, including the Starlink satellite deploy demo, so the payload door, as well as a prop transfer demonstration. We do still need to do some data review on those, so as we get that data back, we'll be sure to update you on social for how those tests went. We are.
All right, so it looks like a lot of good things happening here. We're just waiting for that engine burn.
Absolutely. It's, I mean, so far, this is just astonishing. Speaking of astonishing, we have the first metal. Yeah, Metal Prince, the first one. This one next from Liftoff is up. shop.nasaspace.com. So if you want to have this launch on your wall, there you go. And also, and I want to point this out, and it's probably the most important part of these Metal Prints, you support the photographers who take them. So every time they, like you buy a metal print from one of our photographers, they get a cut, and it supports them, and it supports them getting new lenses, and they've rented expensive equipment for this launch. So this is really a way to support them and kind of help them out here.
And they look great on the wall, so
You should be having a relight of the Raptor engines on Starship any minute
just,
now.
in case you're just tuning in, Starship launched successfully, the booster and the ship. We had a successful stage separation. We have a current Starship in essentially an orbit of some kind, where they were able to successfully test the fuel transfer. The payload bay door has been opened and it's closed. And now we're
waiting on that. Get on a relight demo, right?
Yeah, we're at that point, right? So the next step is to relight the engine, slow it down, test out that thermal system, and we're gonna maybe see a splashdown in the ocean for a rapid scheduled disassembly.
We're basically waiting for them to. Yeah, we're basically waiting for them to acquire signal again, and once they have acquired signal again, they will probably be able to confirm this, right, Alex? Like this looks like they are.
Yeah, it also appears that it seems like they are skipping the burn. The computers essentially confirm whether the Raptor engines are good to go for the burn, and they had the option to not do the burn if anything looks bad.
I'm guessing it's because
think
of the
about
fuel.
that, it makes total sense of not trying something that you know will break your ship, and as we were mentioning before, the
so there was no
zone is
deorbit burn.
completely wide enough to be able to allow this re-entry in a safety zone. So without the relight, it is okay. They're gonna be coming back into a safe zone, and now I'm guessing that the ship will try to get into that entry attitude for the re-entry. So we'll see what happens, and we're gonna keep listening to them because.
So Adrian, without this burn, I would assume then it's going to take a little longer for it to come back down.
Yes, basically they would have probably slowed themselves down, which would bring them up. I think there was early. I'm now getting my orbital mechanics mixed up, but they would have come down later, yeah. So I'm just making sure I'm not saying anything stupid about physics while Alex is here, because if I say anything stupid about physics while Alex is here, we
Oh, wow. Well, looks like it is coming down now.
Re-entry. Yeah. This is going to be insane, everybody.
It's already approaching the entry interface. It's 132 kilometers. So let's see. Let's hope for the communications to hold.
Right.
Look at that.
Now it's still doing a little bit of rotation there. They're gonna try to.
And everything.
Yeah. So you think this is more maneuvering than a continued rotation?
Oh. Are they going into a belly flop?
At some point, like the problem is for the re-entry, it at some point needs to get stable. You need to get flat first.
Yeah.
Look at those clouds.
That graphic of the attitude. That could also be a point of failure, right? We gotta accept that we're already way past of the progress that we saw on Night 2. So, at this point of, the ship cannot control itself and put into its correct orientation. Okay, well, Ship 29 will try it, right? And more future vehicles will try it. It's progress already. I cannot emphasize that this is progress.
Oh,
It's It's looking like that's some land there.
Yeah, it's also so that might be Africa, right? Because they will pass over Africa shortly before reentry.
Yeah, they just now got a acquisition of signal with Mauritius. It seems like, oh, look at that. Look at the flaps.
Flaps are moving.
117 kilometers, 16. We're
Flaps
powering down.
are in motion.
I'll tell you one thing, it would not
And
want
the
to be
camera
on.
itself.
Oh,
So I hope
looks
it
like we
doesn't
might have
stop
had
like
some
this, because
tiles.
This is kind of like the wrong side. You don't want to.
Yeah, right, right.
But it looks like
What are we
they
doing
have
here?
control.
We're seeing, yeah, right. They're moving those fins around. So
You can see how it's feeling already the drag because all of that ice coming down, that is because of the drag from the atmosphere. It's very clear.
that's ice and not tiles.
Fascinating. This is honestly
Oh,
fascinating.
yeah, actually, it is. It looks like they are trying to gain control here. Huh.
Oh yeah, they have
Oh,
it.
look at that.
And now.
Oh, it looks like they're in a belly flop.
Because of their now, if they have the right orientation, now they can use their flaps. Like at this point, once they are on belly forward, now they have the flaps to control this.
They're getting there.
Oh boy.
Oh, will they get it?
Now, should we see some heating soon too?
Look at those clouds in the background, man.
Oh, that's,
Oh, boy.
it's doing another turn.
Another rotation.
I don't think they have
So
control.
It's a full one and not only 180 degrees, because that would be bad.
It's not looking like they have control.
Video coming down via Starlink, and the reason why the camera is moving is it looks like the camera is on one of those grid fins there.
On
Little
flaps.
fins on the flaps.
On flaps.
Yes.
So they skipped the deorbit burn.
Plasma.
Oh!
Plasma building up. There we go. 100 kilometers. It's coming through.
I don't think
Look
we've
at that.
ever seen something like this
Oh,
happen.
we're losing signal.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Look at that.
So far, so good.
Yeah, they're keeping the
But the rotation.
Oh my god. It doesn't look like they have control though.
You want to make some rotations here? Yeah.
I would do it in the other. Come on, chip 28. Come on. That's not the GPS site.
And the signal is holding steady, I guess.
How do they have
Wow.
signal still?
This is amazing that it hasn't gone out yet.
Oh, now they're getting it. Look at, they're turning it.
Look at that.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine?
The fact that the camera still has a signal is absolutely crazy.
This is the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Oh my
Oh.
lord. Look at that.
How does it still have signal?
Crowd in Hawthorne is going nuts.
The heat shield tiles doing their work. We talked about it earlier. Up to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit that those heat shield tiles are dissipating as we are re-entering.
Yeah, now this was one of the critical, or one of the key mission objectives that we were hoping to hit.
So it looks like
The fact that the camera still has a signal is crazy.
Right, to use some of that drag to slow down.
Maybe. You're right.
How are we still seeing this?
Right?
We're seeing things. It's 80 kilometers. It's going down, boys.
And it's so far not, like, it looks stable? Do I dare to say it looks stable?
It's in. Look at the orientation it's in though.
Speed is going down as expected.
And
Yeah, now it's fighting with the plasma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's even crazier, this is a
Oh my
completely
God.
automated process.
Yeah.
But you want the vehicle to remain stable. You want those heat shield
Come on.
tiles pointed
Oh,
Look at the orientation.
so they can absorb the heat of the Earth's atmosphere. And so that's the purpose that they are serving during that hypersonic phase.
Coming down, that means it is at least transmitting data. It's just that
Right.
video takes a lot of bandwidth, and so video may cut out much more
Right.
likely.
Oh,
But we're seeing that
Also-
graphic moving quite a bit.
It's
that was
moving,
probably
but
not-
that's the side
Yeah.
of that telemetry.
a bit of a violent turn there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew, boy.
But
This is what
It's turning still. It's turning still.
It's doing what I could have expected, what I said before. It's not just a
66 kilometers in altitude.
You can see now it's slowing down even more.
We still have a lot of telemetry coming in from Starship, which is a good sign.
Because heat heating is almost the end of the
And also the fact that they're getting some data here, although we
Right.
cut off at this point. But I would imagine what we just
Oh, all the data's frozen, so
and they've
they
got some tiles they're holding up here on their desk there. That buildup of plasma and the heating and the visuals that they acquired here are something we've
we're
never
not
seen
getting any
before, and I
more
would imagine that's gonna
telemetry,
be
so
very
they
informative for
probably
future
had to do a
missions of
rapid
Starship,
unscheduled
because see
disassembly.
what forces are there and how that interacts. Here's a
I'll
scene
stay
from
live
the
for
launch
about 5 more
complex. It
minutes.
looks like the launch mount is still in good shape.
Yeah, so right now they're basically in a blackout phase. But once you have so much plasma building up and everything, you will have a blackout phase. The question is, are they acquiring signal again after the blackout phase? Because that would mean the ship has survived re-entry, kind of. They expect the transonic milestone around 1 hour and 2 minutes.
That's in about 12
That's what's longer
minutes.
here, so we'll see what happens. So we're waiting on it. It's possible we will never hear from it again. And one way or the other, if it does survive, it will be entering the ocean pretty much in a full-on
either way.
belly flop. So this is the last moments of this particular Starship, although it served us quite well, I think, this time. I mean, what an amazing set of visuals we just had.
It is.
And that was
Completely bonkers.
Wow.
Also, completely bonkers. I'm continuing the segues here. This shot by Sean. Also
That was
available on
crazy.
shop.net.
The amount of plasma
The moment of liftoff
that you could
with
see
Pompey in
building
front.
up on Starship
What an
as it
amazing
was
trend.
re-entering the atmosphere.
Thank
It
you so
was
much for
crazy.
recording this.
This was just taken.
We
Now
are
it's
currently in the
yes,
blackout
already
phase,
here.
so we are
It's,
not
high
receiving
velocity merch
any
here at
live views
NASA's
from
Space
Starship
Patches,
or
which are
telemetry from
selling out.
Starship
But we also have
due
that,
to the
reentry sweatshirt,
high amount of
all sorts
plasma
great stuff,
and
to commemorate
stuff from
what I think is a
re-entry.
very
So let's hope we
successful flight.
get
I thought
telemetry
the
from
second flight was
Starship
successful
after the
because a lot
blackout
of things
phase.
that they were trying to achieve and overcome from the first one were accomplished. This one, Adrian, so far, even if the re-entry didn't go completely to plan, they got pretty far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's honestly, I have a hard time right now. Like this is
just processing everything. Well, I would imagine you all have a lot to think about as to how to interpret what we just saw and get it out to the audience in future publications and videos and everything else that we do around here. This tower is empty because the Starship that was once there has successfully launched. In probably just a couple of days, maybe a week or two, there will be another one that's stacked up and ready to go, provided they don't have too much to refurbish there. The ground systems, Alex, are obviously an area of interest as well, because of course after the first launch, most of that complex was destroyed pretty violently. Looks like what they did to correct that is held up here too.
Yeah, boy, that view of the launch site, the empty launch site, it is sort of the favorite view of DAS and pretty much everyone here at NSF. But our next favorite view, I guess, will be once they start coming back with a booster, and the booster is on the chopsticks. That's going to be an exciting view, pretty much. But yeah, it seems like everything held up. Obviously, we're going to have people out in the field. Once they open the road and everything, we'll probably be able to head out there and take more close-up shots of everything out there at Launchpad C. You know, in the grand scheme of things, it looks good. Sometimes, you know, when you actually go there closer, you see some small damage. The island is obviously cooked because that's sort of in the way of the Raptors.
Right.
But that's to be expected. We saw that previous flights. We expected that. The important things is obviously, you know, the chopsticks, the QD arm. One of the things that I'm noticing here, did the chopsticks move to the booster catching position, or is it me?
What do you think, Adrian?
It's the other arm.
Yeah, true.
in this view, there you can see they are in basically because in the opening
The
position,
chopsticks.
yeah, they are closing now. We've been told in the back channels. So essentially, they moved from the open position, and now they're coming back. If you remember from flight one, these two days, and flight two was much more better, right?
Yeah.
Much
I'm not sure if you
more
can see it because of how much I'm shaking my phone, but they are closing the chopsticks.
The same here. Flight two was the same also. Within an hour or so, the chopsticks closed. They went back down. I really thought it was like that before, but I'm looking here at the other feeds that we have, and they were not like that before. Right after liftoff. I guess I was too excited. too excited there. But at one point, they probably do, the landing of the booster and then trying to, mimic the control with the chopsticks as if they were catching it, I guess. Boy, it's gonna be exciting. But again, once our people go there to, in the field, as we say, they'll probably be able to capture much closer up shots of all of the things out there at the launch site.
And what we're waiting on right now is confirmation of what happened to Starship once it entered into that blackout period of reentry.
Yeah.
But we got some amazing news ahead of that. It was looking a little iffy, Adrian, when it was getting close to that blackout period. So we don't yet know if Starship survived the last part of the test, but it seemed to do pretty well up until that point.
Yep, it's it seems I'm getting more and more skeptical about this surviving, but I mean, they reached re-entry, everything, and they got decently far in re-entry. Like we could observe so much time, and every single second there is data, every single second there. So
every second is valuable data, right? So, and I think what we saw in the last, just in the progression from one mission to the next, that SpaceX tests in flight, and we've seen now everything that went wrong on the prior mission getting corrected in the follow-up one, and here they got much further, and really I think are developing a level of confidence with this launch system. And if you look at Falcon 9 today, certainly it had its hiccups and testing that it went through, and it's become a very reliable launch system as a result. So it's been interesting to see the reliability of booster and ship improved tremendously from the first one to the third one. And a lot of the milestones, I would say if not most of the milestones, have been achieved here, Alex. What do you think? Alex would be checking in on some stuff there. What do you think, Adrian? We hit most of them, didn't we?
I would say,
This morning, this is the perfect way to start the day.
No matter if they
even though I'm on no sleep
or not, it's
perfect day to start the day.
This is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And the crazy thing for me is really the progression between flights. Like we had such a big progression between flight 1 and flight 2. We had now a huge progression between flight 2 and flight 3. They have such a great learning curve here, and they are not doing like something trivial here. They're testing things that have never really been done before. So getting to this it's really amazing. And
this graphic on screen is where we think it's coming down right now, right?
Yeah, that's one way or the other. It's re-entry. The question is just how many pieces.
Right, and it's likely from what we saw right before it lost signal. It's likely going to be the pieces, but again, the plan was that it was going to hit the ocean and explode when it got there. So we're gonna hold vigil here until we know exactly what happened. But I did want to. We have so many supporters to thank. We're not going to be able to get to everybody. We're going to do our best here to thank some folks while we are waiting for news of the fate of Starship. But I think
we got about
our standpoint here as
8 minutes
observers
until
of this program,
Starship
this was a very
exits the blackout phase, and we'll know if flight termination was activated or not.
Meaningless is our super chatter here with a $100 tip. Thank you very much for that. We'll pull it up here. The name is meaningless, not the mission here today. So thank you very much for your contribution and your support of all of our efforts here. We have so many store messages that right now after it happened. So thank you all for for that. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on the chat here as best we can, answer some questions, and see what we've got going on here. So while I look for some questions here from the audience, now that we're getting caught up and getting our wits back about us here, Adrian, what are we looking at now on the ground here? Looks like things are mostly intact.
Well, apparently, I'm waiting for final confirmation here, but apparently, looking at the roadblock here, can we get a picture of the roadblock? Maybe up here, producers? Because they apparently are at the point where, look, they are already at the village road closure point again. Like, there are already cars waiting there, and they are looking like they are getting ready to go to the pad.
Wow.
It is quite a good progress here, as we expected. 1 hour after launch, and safing that the tank farm.
Is and what I think is also what's also important to note here is that in addition to what we just saw lift off, we've got, it looks like, what, 3 more Starships in the rooms there along with booster.
It looks. One of the latest updates that I'm hearing from the SpaceX is that it looks like they lost TDRS, the tracking data relay satellite signal, basically, and also Starlink signal, both at the same time, which could indicate that they lost the ship during re-entry.
I hope they didn't.
But they are trying to, do further confirmation about that. Obviously, the ship at one point will either in pieces or in one piece, it'll go through the atmosphere and hit the ocean in one way or another. We saw those flaps actuating the thermal protection system. They gathered some good amount of data on that beginning of the entry phase of the ship. Pretty much what I expected before the flight, and so it is quite an impressive step, compared to Flight 2. And now, obviously, they're probably going to be looking through all the data and everything and improve it, because that's the whole point of these flights, right? Lauren and Adrian, I see you kind of noting here that is precisely why these flights are happening, because every single flight is a step forward. It is improvement. This went way much better than Flight 2, and I have no doubt that Flight 4 will be even much better than Flight 3.
We've got about 4 minutes until Starship exits the
Adrian, how long do you think we'll
blackout
now
period
before the next flight? It seems like maybe there might be some mishap reviews on re-entry. I mean, it's hard to speculate this early, but
no, it's. I think at this point I feel so. The ship should have been transonic at this point. So something went wrong, and based on the FAA definition of a mishap investigation, SpaceX has just triggered a mishap investigation. That's the nature of the things. They have not. So the one clause that basically hurts them here is the fact that you have to complete your launch and re-entry profile as planned. And at this point, I think we can confirm that the ship has not completed its re-entry profile as planned.
Damn.
Which means there is a mishap investigation. However, and now there's a big however here.
Anticipating
We
lost Starship due to basically a double blackout from TDRS and Starship data at the same time.
But it's worth mentioning, this is the first time that we have come back at these speeds
Absolutely.
in any of the test flights that we've done so far with Starship. So we are trying to prove out that the heat shield works as intended, that the controllability at those hypersonic speeds works as intended. So if we were able to get back any data on that, that means the next version, what happens on Flight 4, 5, 6, is going to be better.
We must be able to get some, because we saw incredibly gorgeous high definition views of that entry period whenever it was initially starting. So We must have gotten some data
Today
there.
has been otherwise a phenomenal day.
Incredible.
Liftoff on time, full ignition of all of the boosters, engines, successful hot staging, and then ship took it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. We were able to see the ship actually make it further as well as the booster. We were hoping that the booster would perform a soft water landing, but we lost it during just before it was able to ignite the landing burn. But the ship continued on. We saw all six Raptor engines on the ship ignite and then shut down for second engine cutoff, and we saw some amazing views as well. And it's just been certainly a day that I will be taking many screenshots and using them as my computer desktop background for, well, until the next Starship launch.
When we get even.
So there you go. It looks like confirmation that it didn't re-enter in one piece as they were expecting it, but in multiple. So Adrian, now this will trigger a mishap investigation, which might slow down.
Yes.
Go on.
So
All
there's
right,
two
well,
things I want to add here.
you heard it
It's
here.
gonna be a
Starship,
small mishap investigation probably versus the other
unfortunately,
ones,
didn't
because
re-enter in
the
one
more
piece.
sophisticated this design gets, the less items this had.
This flight
with
test
the
was
first versus
amazing,
the second one, that was
nonetheless.
already a huge amount of change.
Pretty much because
And
SpaceX
also, and that's the second part, SpaceX kind of wants to
achieved
conduct
something
this investigation,
huge,
because
which is
after
just
all,
crazy.
SpaceX needs to now find out what went wrong, right? And then needs to implement fixes
Well,
on the next vehicle.
that is gonna be it for the live streams for today. This morning was eventful, and yeah, it was amazing.
What went wrong, and how can we improve it on the next flight?